Hi, everyone. I have the most amazing conversations with people at times and really in-depth conversations. And sometimes what comes absolutely naturally to me, and I don't even think about it, when it happens with somebody else, they think, is it normal? What's going on here? Is it something I'm doing wrong? So what we're talking about, I was talking with somebody the other day about energy and how we're all connected energetically and how we pick up on other people's energy. So, and you'll notice this with babies. Like babies, when they're being held by someone who's very anxious and their energy is like very jittery and they're nervous to hold the baby can react to that and not want to be in their arms, like start crying or even if for a moment you're nursing a baby and you think you've got it handled there for a moment and then the baby starts crying, the first thing you want to do is like, here, give it back to the mother because there's something in you that's triggering your own anxiety and the baby will pick up on that. And other times, like babies will just snuggle into somebody when the energies just blend really, really well. The person holding the baby is getting comforted by the child and the child's getting comforted by the other energy. So they just want to stay in each other's presence for as long as possible. And it happens the same with children. Children, especially highly sensitive children that are really prone to being psychic and picking up energy to others, they will quite often want to help another person. So they will be drawn to people or situations that's going to make them uncomfortable, but there is something in their higher self that knows that they need to be in that environment. So even though it's an uncomfortable feeling for them, they still find themselves being attracted to certain people or situations which is going to affect their own energy. And it can be a way of helping a really sensitive child have more confidence in themselves, because we get into these little comfort zones and quite often our higher self knows we have to push ourselves out of those comfort zones. So there's this little battle going on again between the ego self and the higher self. The ego self will avoid feeling anything confrontational or uncomfortable with our emotions, and the higher self will still push us in that direction to help strengthen that area of weakness that's in somebody. A lot of times with children, they tend to migrate towards a very highly sensitive child will migrate towards a child that's feeling emotionally troubled. And they don't really, they're so young, they don't really understand what they're doing. They just know that they need to be around that other person because their energy is going to heal the other person's energy. It's nothing to do with what we are seeing with our physical eyes. It's an invisible energy. It's like the energy field, and we connect on such a deep level without actually realizing it. As we get into adulthood, and so many people, there's a lot of people that struggled through their childhood with emotions, with not feeling loved, with not feeling wanted, or feeling very pressured to be absolutely excellent at what they were doing. Their parents may have really pressured them. They never felt that they were appreciated by their parents, or there was something there, and that can actually cause this disconnection to wanting to feel emotion, which is what happens with a lot of narcissists. Narcissistic people are not born that way. It is a creation. They create something inside of them to feed their ego, and they disconnect from that higher self. Now, your higher self is your intuition and your instinct. So a narcissistic type person, or someone who's only operating from the ego, will calculate everything with the mind. Everything that they are doing is coming from the mind, from thoughts. It's not coming from the instinct, whereas a sensitive person who's connected to their intuition will be operating from their higher self and not so much from the ego. So what you find happens a lot is you will feel this really intense energy. You feel really drawn to somebody, and you're not really sure why you're really drawn to them. It may be that you just know you need to be in their life without really knowing why you need to be in their life. And this is the energy where there is something there where you know that you can help their energy. Your energy can balance out their energy. You can help heal them in some way. But so when you're feeling that real strong pull towards somebody else, and it's like a loving heart feeling, like sometimes you confuse it with thinking that you really love that person straight away when you've only just met them. You just feel this connection that's so strong. And yet they don't feel it back with you. If they are not connected to their intuition and they're not connected to their higher self, they won't feel it back with you. They will look at you from their mind, from their thoughts, and rationalize everything and make everything about logic. And yet you're feeling something totally different. So this is where it becomes confusing, because you might be conveying to them how you feel and they're not conveying back how they feel because they're not connected to their feelings. And that may be what drew you into that relationship, because there is something in you that knew that you could help them to reconnect to their inner self. Maybe you're going to learn something from it. Maybe you felt like, I'm going to learn something here. I'll go into that energy field and see what I can learn about myself. But the thing is, our higher self is drawing us into these relationships, but the ego then tries to work out why, because that's just something that our ego does. It always wants to know why, who, how, what, when, whereas the higher self just knows that it's going to be of value to learn something about yourself and to be able to help their energy and balance out their energy. So it's not always about what am I going to get from that other person when you feel really drawn to them. It's more about what can I help what can my energy field really help them to achieve and understand a bit better. And sometimes you can actually be around another energy and it feels repulsive to you, but the person can be a really lovely person. And I've only ever had this happen to me once, because my energy, I feel like I'm really good at controlling my energy, my boundaries. I do allow energy in. I do absorb when someone else is going through something, especially with health issues. I allow that energy in so I can feel it physically in my body. But I also feel like I can control when someone's trying to steal my energy so that I'm not feeling drained, sort of thing. But on one occasion, I was in the presence of someone who was a really lovely person, very kind, considerate, and was showing me a lot of kindness, but their energy repulsed me. And the longer I were in their space, it got stronger and stronger and stronger until it's like I just felt like I wanted to run away. And then I started to feel like, oh my goodness, if they come near me, what am I going to do? It was that strong. But there was no real reason for me to feel that, because they were a really lovely person. And I don't think that person felt me being repulsive, because they kept coming back into my energy. They must have been getting something from my energy that was helping them. But then, is there circumstances when somebody else feels repulsed by your energy? Like, I can only perceive how I am from how I think about myself. So there may be somebody out there that stood next to me that finds my energy not suitable for them. Like, they want to get away from me, or my energy might intimidate them or frighten them, or will she uncover something about me that I don't want anybody to know? That kind of, it's a fear where they get close to me, and then it's like there's a fear there of, I don't like her energy, don't like what she's about, and they just want to distance themselves. So it's not always going to be about how you feel about other people's energy. It's also about how other people feel about your energy. And many times you're aware of what you're putting out there, and many times you're not even aware, especially if you haven't really delved into questioning yourself and your higher self and what you're all about. If you're somebody who's very busy all the time, and you're talking to somebody and you're not really listening to them, so they're talking to you, but you're thinking about something else while they're talking, and you're butting into what they're saying, and you're not really engaging in them. Sometimes you're not even aware of things like what you're doing with your energy. It's very scattered and it's very high energy, and it can repel somebody. Like, they are there to try to calm you, but if you're not accepting that calming energy and you're still just like pushing your energy away, they will end up giving up, and then they will just move away. So that's a lot of times we have people come into our lives and then people go, and they're only there for a specific reason of some form of growth or some valuable lesson that's there for both of you or just one of you, and then the energy shifts again. And other people, like, you can feel this really repulsive energy, even with a total stranger. Like, you don't even know why. You just can look at them and think, I just don't want anything to do. It's nothing to do with their appearance, their personality. It's nothing to do with the exterior. It's this inner feeling like, I just don't want to be around you. And then you get the total opposite, where you love to be around somebody, and when you sit with them, you feel warmth and you feel comforted, and you could sit there for hours and not want to leave, because it's such a really good feeling and your energy is just blending. But sometimes the energy is between two people is what's the word, like it combines really well and it merges really well, and you're both feeling the same, and quite often you're feeling something and they're feeling something totally different. It depends on how well you are connected into your instinct. And if they're not connected at all to their instinct and they're working out everything via their thought patterns and their brain and their ego, they won't even know what you're talking about. If you said to somebody, I have this really strong connection to you, like I've known you before, and they might not even understand that. They're like, I don't get it. I'm not getting that with you. But underneath all that, their energy is connected to you. It's just that they are so busy in their head and they're not connected to their instinct and their energy. So, yeah, I think a lot of times we're drawn into relationships because there is a really deep knowing, an inner knowing that it's meant, there is something valuable going to come out of this. Either you're going to learn something, they're going to learn something. You've had a soul contract with each other to have a relationship that needs healing, that was something you needed to learn about yourself. And another thing that we do is we can ignore our instinct. So have you ever been in a position where you've thought to yourself, that person has a lot of trouble, they're a troubled person, and if I get into their energy and if I form a relationship with them, I'm going to be hurt in some way, or I'm going to, you kind of know that. Deep down you're not, but you ignore it. You ignore it. You know it, but you ignore it, and then you think, I'm just going to go that way anyway, because the ego's saying, I'm curious to know more about that person. I want to see what this is about. But deep down, there is that knowing that this is going to bring you something very valuable and it could hurt, but you still go down that path. You just ignore the warnings and go down that path. And that's why we have free will. We're blessed with free will in this world, so we can make all the choices we want to make, whether they turn out to be great choices or difficult choices. So, yeah, next time you're sitting with somebody, next time you're sitting next to them, just feel their energy. What does their energy feel like? Does it feel like it's contributing to your energy? Is it blending? Is it a bit repulsive and you're not sure what you're still doing next to this person? And how are you handling the interaction with your energy? Are you able to block if you don't want to give out your energy, if you don't want to take in their energy? Are you able to block it? Because I've always used to imagine myself in a bubble, like a little force field around me, and people used to laugh at me like they think it's a joke. Oh yeah, Vicky's over there in her little bubble. But it works for me. I don't care if it's a funny little narrative that someone else finds amusing. It works for me to be in my bubble because I don't particularly want to absorb angry energy or jealous energy or disruptive energy. So, and I don't want to give my energy to someone who is not going to grow from it. If they just want to be the same, so be it. Then I'm not going to share my energy. So it's really interesting to look at it from a different, start to realize, am I interacting with somebody purely from my ego, from my thoughts, or am I interacting because my energy really feels like this is what I'm supposed to be doing with this person? In some way, I feel I'm healing them, I'm helping them, I'm calming them, or am I learning something myself from their energy? Are they giving me something that I really need? So it's an interesting way to look at it, just to get out of the ego for a while. So that's a little talk today on energy, and also notice with babies and children who they feel drawn to, who they sort of don't want to be around, because they are amazing at reading energy of people. So I hope everyone has a good day. What are we today? Thursday, the 4th of February. It's supposed to be summer here and it's raining today, but the rain is very welcome because doesn't it feel very cleansing when it's been hot for so many days and then all of a sudden it rains and it just feels like it cleans everything, washes away all the dust, and it's like this fresh feeling. So I'd love any comments too if anyone wants me to talk on any specific topics. Like I know a few of you have said that you had a few questions that you wanted to ask. So I'm happy for you to send me a message in my inbox and then I'll have a look if I know if I've experienced something or if I know anything in that area, and we can talk about that as well. So thanks so much for listening.